It's time to talk about Djune. Now, I don't know if you've seen this piece of liberal propaganda, but it's appalling. Fucking, I think the most common shot in the movie is Channy's going like this. Why, motherfucker, better not, like, she's like slapping people and screaming at people. In the book, she's fiercely loyal. Why, why did you have to make it gay, Hollywood? Why? And at the end of the movie, she like goes off into the wilderness to be a strong, independent woman. In the book, she's the bound concubine of Emperor Paul Atreides. Do you know what a bound concubine is? Um, Timothy Chalamet as the leading role is like so ashamed of everything the whole time. He does incredibly well for a teenage boy whose international galactic politics has forced his family to a planet where they're ambushed by their rivals, and his father and many of his closest friends are. His life is uprooted, and he survives in the harsh desert of Arrakis, later to be known as Arrakis for those scholars in the know. And she's just like, ah, she's like a Disney character delivery, with like her dialogue is like auto Twitter posts. It's like this in the book. It is explicitly a jihad. Paul leads a an Arabic word meaning struggle or fight, frequently used to mean spreading Islam by the threat of force, by force, by the sword. The Fremen were like a mix. The Fremen should have been Arabic. Come on, we all know that. Come on. They sprinkled in a lot of like sub-Saharan Africans. There's a lot of sub-Saharan Muslims, but I think they should have picked a race for immersion's sake. To be completely honest, they were like, it was kind of made sense to make the water reclamation burial ceremony like it's cool to tie that to our understanding of mummies, and the some of the architecture looked kind of Egyptian, but they're clearly Arabic Muslim descendants. Also, I don't know, I forgot to Google this, but was Irulan was portrayed as like all the women were like silently speaking with their mind the whole time, controlling everything, but also Chani was like so oppressed. She's also like the Fremen are an equal society. Uh, Everyone completely equal. She said that in like two sentences. When in the book, when Paul kills Jameis, he takes his former two wives. Jameis's former two wives are now his property. It was a very tribal honor culture. It's a feudal post AI future, imaginary future. We don't need to make it so tied to the internet politics of 2024. I thought it was kind of bad. Some of the visuals were stunning. It was like a 6.8 maybe. Expected more from Hans Zimmer. You think a rich subject matter to mine, ultra high budget. I just why was Timothy? They're like trying to make a Michael Cera. He was like a distinct screen presence for a while, and they're making him like he was like, I'm so sorry, Channy. I'm like saving your people and like avenging my father's murder, but like I'm being too patriarchal. The fundament back to the fundamentalist point. There was never any. I love how they PC'd it by like avoiding the word jihad and making like the cool gay atheists were like the fundamentalists. Also, Stilgar was a much more sophisticated character in the book who was like kind of playing politics, but also kind of becoming a believer. There was some of that in the movie, but he was like comic relief almost of like what the true believer is, which was it's offensive and it's dumb and it's unnuanced. But I mean, I guess it is a movie. Like, how much nuance can you have in a movie? Anyways, pretty disappointed. I went with a beautiful woman. Um, Yeah, I was triggered. I wanted to see Paul be cool, but he was just ashamed the whole time. I guess that's what our leading men now are supposed to be like. A lot of discourse on the internet about whether he's a failed or a successful dude. There's always someone planting the seed that like the main character is an unreliable narrator and like it's actually a deconstructivist thing going on. It's really most great fantasy is like a male writing some cool shit that someone more competent than himself could possibly do in a world that's cooler than the world he lives in. I'm thinking of Dune. I've heard the unreliable narrative or unreliable narrator hypothesis set forward for um, the Shadow and Claw book, Citadel of the Auto Tortures Guild. What the fuck's that series called? Anyways, it's probably just a dude writing out a sick fantasy with like real issues of like good and evil being grappled with, but like also it's a sick journey fantasy where he's like the writer never has to be starving and cold, and the character is like somehow pretty much chill with it, like a Pokemon game where you just leave home and it works out because you're the main character. Somehow planting the seeds, like the postmodern seeds of doubt, are so fun to plant, but they're not fun to reap. They're fun to sow, but they're these little mimetic sentences to cause doubt in others, to give cheap and temporary catharsis to your own bitterness is real fun to reap, not fun to sow. And then I went got in this beautiful woman's car and we listened to her indie rock, which was all women like demoralizing the listener. And it's like I did it too with my album, but it's like we gotta do something else here. It can't just be like increasingly snark, like Twitter snark of increasing sophistication. That can't be what like the art and culture that people work towards supporting. That can't be what their return is. Like if you're working to invest in in the West in a culture, the reward can't be like deconstructionist demoralization art, glowy propaganda. Dare I say? It has to be better, which is why I invented a religion, a story that knows it's a story called the Code, a story that I want people to collaborate on that becomes so beautiful and so detailed and so convincing that people are so compelled by it that they make it true in time, eventually bringing all matter into the fullest consciousness possible consensually and creating a heaven or getting to heaven and going back in time and bringing all living organisms in the past into this heaven. That's the code. That's my idea of what we could do that's like positive instead of just demoralizing each other with our individualistic nihilistic perspectives and bitterness and grievances. Damn, it's getting fucking bad. Ooh, not that bad. I swear it's not that. Oh. Anyways, felt cute. Might cut it all off later. Yeah, I was fucking triggered. The liberals have ruined another transcended intellectual property. Frank would be rolling in his grave. I wonder if they'd ever make a movie off Werner Vinge's classics. It'd be so bad. I'm thinking I haven't got into Heinlein, but like Starship Troopers, those movies are so. Your friends are trying to like. My friends are trying to explain. My one friend, let's be real, like it's kind of like funny how cheap in '80s it is, and I'm like, if I watch a movie, I want it to be cool. I want to feel like a little boy. I want to be both inspired and awed by something sincere and not ironic. Something not thinly tied to the grievances of the moment in our real culture. So Dune 2, spectacular visual moments. I love the guys in the gladiator thing with the weird blackheads. Those were sick. Also, the Saudarkar come from a prison planet, the Emperor's knights, or soldiers basically, and they all look like Prince Harry. They're like lacrosse player white people with like fading hairlines and like a very gentle look on their face. They'd be like tough as nails looking, and they probably wouldn't all be white. But hey, we never got to see the Spacer Guild. Maybe we did. I swear to God, Duncan Idaho played a. Did he just die right away in the first book? I swear he did more. Also, there was none of Fenring didn't have a husband. The hermaphroditic or eunuch, I forget, but he couldn't have children. He was crucial to Frank Herbert's like. It was a character dear to Frank Herbert. I can't remember what I read, but like, yeah. Well, it's a big world. It's a big fictional universe. I've read the first one in hardcover in physical print like 3 or 4 times. I've heard all the audiobooks. I love the universe, but so I'm not like a 15-year-old whose favorite thing has been ruined. I've enjoyed them for what they are, and then I enjoyed the movies for what they are. So the West will be okay. We're all gonna make it. I love you. Good night.